In a peaceful village embraced by rolling hills and fields of golden grass, there was a place both magical and mysterious known as the Whispering Forest, a sprawling sea of towering trees whose leaves constantly murmured soft secrets carried by the gentle breeze, creating a quiet symphony of whispers that made the forest feel alive and enchanted. This forest was no ordinary woodland, for it held within it an ancient magic that had long been forgotten by many, yet it patiently waited for the right moment and the right soul to reveal its mysteries. One calm evening, under the soft veil of twilight, a tiny star named Luma, who had been watching the world from the sky, slipped from her place among the constellations and drifted down toward the earth, her glow dimming as she nestled quietly into the mossy undergrowth of the Whispering Forest. At first, the forest was overwhelming for Luma, the towering trees stretching endlessly above her, their leaves casting playful shadows that danced in the faint moonlight filtering through the branches. Though her light was faint, it pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, drawing the attention of the forest creatures who had never seen such a gentle, glowing presence before. A curious rabbit with velvet ears hopped near, then a wise old owl whose eyes glimmered with years of stories approached cautiously, and soon many animals gathered, enchanted by the tiny light in their midst. But Luma felt alone, her thoughts filled with longing for the vast sky and the company of other stars shining brightly above. As days turned to nights, Luma learned the ways of the forest. The whispering leaves told her stories of the past, of the creatures who had called the forest home for centuries, and of the magic that linked them all. The brook nearby sang lullabies that soothed her fears, and the gentle wind seemed to promise that her light would one day find its way home. Yet the question remained: how could a fallen star return to the sky from the depths of such a wild, entangled place? One night, as the forest hummed quietly with life, a young girl named Alara ventured into the woods, drawn by tales her grandmother had told her about the Whispering Forest and a star that had lost its way long ago. Ilara's heart was full of hope and courage, and her steps were light but determined. She believed that magic was real, that lost things could be found, and that the smallest light could brighten the darkest paths. With a lantern in hand, she followed the faint glow she sensed just beyond the twisted roots of an ancient oak. And there, nestled among the soft moss and dew, she found Luma. The star's gentle light flickered with surprise and relief when Ilara knelt beside her, speaking softly with words of kindness and promise. The forest seemed to hold its breath, leaves barely moving as the two formed a bond that sparkled brighter than the star itself. Together, they began a journey to find the secret path the trees whispered about, a path that could lead Luma back to the heavens. The forest welcomed their friendship, guiding them with soft rustlings and faint glimmers of light that flickered like fireflies along the way. Their journey took them deeper into the heart of the forest than either had ever dared to go alone. They crossed clear, sparkling streams that sang songs of forgotten times, where fish danced beneath the water's surface, and they climbed hills covered in blankets of autumn leaves, their footsteps muffled by the softness of the earth. The trees grew taller and closer, their branches intertwining overhead like woven arms, creating tunnels of emerald and gold. At times, the journey felt long and tiring, and Luma's light dimmed, but Alara's warmth and steady presence encouraged her to shine once more. Along the way, they met other forest dwellers, a family of deer whose gentle eyes reflected the starlight, a mischievous fox with a tail like flames, and even a sleepy badger who told them stories of stars who had fallen, and found new homes in the woods. Each encounter filled the forest with life and stories, weaving a tapestry of friendship and hope that wrapped around Luma's fragile light. As they reached the edge of the forest, the trees gave way to a wide, open hill that stretched toward the sky, kissed by the colors of dawn. This hill was known as the sky's edge, a place where the earth seemed to meet the heavens and where the lost star might find her way back. Elara held Luma close, whispering words of encouragement, while the star's glow grew stronger, reflecting the courage and love they had shared on their journey. With a soft, shimmering pulse, Luma began to rise slowly into the morning sky, her light piercing the dawn like a beacon of hope and magic. As she floated upward, the forest seemed to sigh in contentment, its leaves rustling gently in farewell, and the animals watched in awe as the little star returned to her place among the constellations. Elara smiled, her heart full, knowing that the Whispering Forest had given her a gift far greater than she had imagined, a friendship with a star, a journey of wonder, and a memory that would light her own path for years to come. And so, the forest remained, alive with whispers and secrets, waiting patiently for the next lost soul or shining light to find their way among the trees, reminding all who listened that even in the deepest shadows, a gentle light and a kind heart can guide the way home. In a small, forgotten village surrounded by rolling hills and ancient trees, there existed a hidden place known only to a few, the secret garden of endless dreams, a magical sanctuary tucked away behind an old, ivy-covered stone wall, where time seemed to stand still and the air was always filled with the delicate scent of blooming flowers and the soft hum of nature's gentle lullaby. This garden was not just any ordinary patch of land, but a place where dreams could grow and blossom like the rarest of flowers, nurtured by the whispering winds and the loving hands of the earth itself. And it was said that anyone who found their way inside would be gifted with the power to explore the deepest corners of their heart and the wildest reaches of their imagination. For the garden was alive with a special kind of magic, one that could turn a single thought into a living, breathing adventure, painting the sky with colors no eye had ever seen, and filling the soul with a peaceful kind of joy that lingered long after one had left. Among those who had heard of this secret haven was a young boy named Leo, whose days were often filled with quiet wonder and a yearning for something beyond the ordinary. Someone who longed to escape the noise of the world and dive into a place where dreams weren't just dreams, but stories waiting to be told. So one late afternoon, as the golden light of the setting sun bathed the village in a warm glow, Leo discovered a narrow, overgrown path leading to an ancient wooden gate half hidden by twisting vines, and as he pushed the gate open with a gentle creak, he stepped into the garden's embrace, feeling an immediate calm wash over him, the colors around him more vivid than he had ever seen, the flowers shimmering as if kissed by fairy dust, and the air humming softly with the promise of adventure. As Leo wandered deeper into the garden, he marveled at the towering trees whose branches stretched high into the sky, their leaves shimmering like emeralds under the sun's fading light, while delicate butterflies fluttered around him like living jewels, and everywhere he looked, vibrant blossoms of every shape and hue swayed gently in the breeze, creating a tapestry of life and color that seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of the earth itself. It wasn't long before Leo realized that this garden held secrets far beyond the beauty of its blooms. For each flower, each leaf, each blade of grass seemed to hold a story, a memory, or a dream waiting to be awakened. And as he touched a soft petal here or a rough bark there, visions danced before his eyes, glimpses of faraway lands, laughter of forgotten friends, and the warm glow of hopes yet to be fulfilled. Guided by the garden's magic, Leo found himself walking along a sparkling stream that twisted like a silver ribbon through the lush greenery. the water singing a soothing song as it tumbled over smooth stones, reflecting the sky above and the countless dreams that floated just beneath its surface. And as he followed the stream, the path led him to a circle of ancient stones covered in moss, where the whispers of past dreamers lingered like echoes, sharing tales of courage, friendship, and wonder, inspiring Leo to believe that his own dreams were worthy of being told. As night gently settled over the garden, the flowers began to glow softly with an ethereal light, casting a gentle illumination that bathed the world in silver and gold. And in that magical moment, Leo lay down on a bed of soft moss, feeling the earth cradle him like a loving friend, and closed his eyes, allowing the garden's dream magic to carry him away on a journey through his own imagination, where he soared through skies painted with impossible colors, danced with creatures born of stardust and moonbeams, and explored realms where kindness and hope grew wild and free. A place where every dream, no matter how small or grand, could take root and flourish. When morning's first light peeked through the garden's canopy, Leo awoke with a heart full of peace and wonder, knowing that the secret garden of endless dreams was not just a place he had visited, but a part of him now, a living wellspring of inspiration and magic that he could carry wherever he went. A reminder that within every soul lies a garden waiting to bloom, filled with endless dreams ready to grow into beautiful realities if only given the chance, and with a smile as bright. As the morning sun, Leo stepped back through the ivy-covered gate, carrying the secret of the garden in his heart, ready to face the world with new eyes and an open spirit, knowing that no matter where life's path might lead, the magic of dreams would always be with him, whispering softly in the quiet moments, encouraging him to believe, to imagine, and to keep the wonder alive within his soul forevermore. In a small village nestled between gentle hills and lush meadows, where the nights were deep and quiet, there was a little lantern that glowed softly on the windowsill of a tiny cottage. This lantern was unlike any other, for it held a special light, a warm, golden glow that seemed to whisper stories of hope and comfort to anyone who looked upon it, especially on the darkest nights when shadows stretched long and fears crept quietly in the corners of the mind. And though many villagers had forgotten the magic the lantern possessed, a young boy named Aiden believed in its gentle power and kept it burning every evening without fail, knowing that its light could guide more than just footsteps. It could guide dreams and soothe restless hearts. One chilly night, when the wind whispered through the trees and the stars hid behind thick clouds, the village found itself wrapped in an unusual silence, as if the world itself was holding its breath. And young Aiden noticed that his little lantern flickered uncertainly, as if it, too, felt the weight of the quiet. So he took it carefully in his hands and decided to step outside, determined to follow the soft glow wherever it might lead, trusting that even the smallest light can shine brightest when the night is at its darkest. As he walked through the winding lanes, the lantern's warm beam danced across the cobblestones, revealing familiar sights transformed by the night, rustling leaves, sleeping flowers, and the gentle sway of curtains in faraway windows. And as he wandered farther from home, the lantern seemed to grow brighter, pulling him toward the edge of the village where the forest began, a place often avoided when the sun slipped below the horizon. But tonight the little light beckoned with a promise of safety and discovery. Stepping beneath the towering trees, Aiden felt the cool air wrap around him, the silence of the forest broken only by the soft crunch of leaves beneath his feet and the steady glow of the lantern cradled close to his chest, guiding him deeper into the shadows where the ordinary world melted away and magic waited patiently to be found. For the lantern held a secret. He was born from the hopes and dreams of generations past and carried the power to connect the hearts of those who dared, to believe in the unseen wonders hidden in the dark. Moving with quiet courage, Aiden reached a clearing where the stars peeked shyly through gaps in the branches, and there, resting upon a bed of soft moss, lay a small, shimmering creature, a lost firefly, flickering weakly and barely able to hold its light against the night's chill. Without hesitation, Aiden lifted the fragile insect gently into the lantern's glow, and as the warm light touched the firefly's delicate wings, it seemed to gather strength, its tiny body glowing brighter until it danced joyfully within the lantern's glass, a living spark of hope reborn. From that moment on, the little lantern was no longer just a simple source of light, but a beacon of life and courage, carrying within it the joy of a rescued firefly and the endless possibilities of friendship and kindness. And as Aiden continued his walk back through the forest and into the village, the lantern's glow lit the path for others, inviting all who saw it to remember that no matter how dark the night may seem, a single light can guide the way home and warm the coldest hearts, inspiring dreams and bringing peace to those who need it most. And when Aiden finally returned to his cozy cottage, placing the lantern carefully on the windowsill once again, he knew that its gentle light would never fade, for it was fueled by the belief that even the smallest act of kindness can shine forever, casting away fear and filling the world with hope. And as he drifted into a peaceful sleep, the little lantern's soft glow stood watch, whispering silent promises of bright tomorrows to all who dreamed beneath its caring light. In a quiet village surrounded by lush forests and gentle hills, there was a secret path known only to a few, a path so old that time seemed to have forgotten it completely. This path, hidden beneath layers of moss, wildflowers, and creeping vines, whispered softly with the memories of those who had once walked it long ago, carrying with it echoes of laughter, footsteps, and stories that were now almost lost in the breeze, yet alive in the hearts of the trees and stones that lined the way. It was on one crisp autumn morning, when the air smelled fresh and the sky was painted with the soft hues of dawn, that a young girl named Alara, curious and brave, stumbled upon this forgotten trail while wandering through the woods near her home, her heart filled with wonder and a quiet longing for adventure. The moment she stepped onto the path, the world around her seemed to change, the usual sounds of birdsong and rustling leaves blending into a gentle symphony that welcomed her deeper into the forest's embrace, as if the very earth beneath her feet was alive and eager to share its secrets. With each step, Alara felt an invisible thread pulling her forward, guiding her through the winding trail that twisted and turned beneath towering trees whose ancient branches reached out like friendly hands, casting dappled shadows that danced playfully on the soft ground. The path was narrow and often hidden by nature's overgrowth, but Alara's eyes sparkled with determination as she carefully made her way, her senses drinking in the fresh scent of pine and earth, the cool touch of the morning mist, and the quiet murmur of a distant stream. Along the way, she discovered signs left behind by those who had walked the path before her. A delicate feather caught on a twig, the worn edge of a forgotten shoe buried in the soil, and faded carvings etched into the bark of trees telling stories of friendship, courage, and dreams once dreamed beneath these very skies. Alara's imagination soared with every discovery, painting pictures of travelers from long ago, their hopes and fears, their joys and sorrows, woven into the fabric of the forest itself. As the morning sun climbed higher, the path opened into a hidden glade, a secret clearing bathed in golden light where wildflowers nodded in the gentle breeze and butterflies flitted gracefully between the blossoms, filling the air with a peaceful magic. In the center of this enchanting place stood a weathered stone well, draped with ivy and moss, its depths dark and mysterious, inviting Alara to listen closely for the stories it held beneath its surface. She knelt beside the well, her fingers tracing the cool stones, and as she closed her eyes, the forest around her seemed to grow still, holding its breath while the wind carried faint whispers, soft echoes of laughter, gentle songs, and tender moments shared by the travelers who had once found comfort and friendship on this path. In that moment, Alara felt a profound connection to the past, as if the spirits of those who had walked before her were welcoming her into their circle, reminding her that every journey leaves a mark and every story deserves to be remembered. Filled with wonder and a newfound sense of purpose, she sat quietly by the well, imagining the lives of the people who had come here seeking solace, adventure, or simply a moment of peace beneath the sheltering trees. She pictured the little boy who had carried wildflowers to his mother, the elderly woman who had rested on the wooden bench nearby, sharing stories of days long gone, and the young lovers who had carved their initials into the bark of a mighty oak, promising forever beneath the whispering leaves. Alara's heart swelled with the knowledge that though the path was forgotten by many, its spirit lived on through these echoes, weaving the past and present into a tapestry of memory and hope. As afternoon turned to evening, the sun began to dip low, casting a warm amber glow through the forest, and Alara rose to follow the trail back home, her steps light and steady, carrying with her the magic of the forgotten path and the promise to keep its stories alive. As she walked, she noticed the subtle changes in the woods, the way shadows lengthened, the soft call of an owl beginning its nighttime song, and the cool breath of night air settling gently over the land. When she finally reached the edge of the forest, she paused to look back, her eyes reflecting the fading light and the timeless beauty of the path that had become a part of her own story. That night, as she lay beneath the warmth of her blanket, the echoes of the forgotten path wrapped around her like a gentle lullaby, carrying her into dreams filled with wonder and adventure, reminding her that sometimes the most extraordinary journeys are hidden in the quietest places, waiting patiently for a heart brave enough to find them. And as sleep carried her away, she knew deep inside that the path and its stories would live forever, whispered softly through the trees and carried by the wind to all who would listen. In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and gentle rivers, there lived two children, Amina and Sammy, who had known each other since the earliest days of their childhood, though their families were strangers and their lives different. In many ways, yet an invisible thread connected their hearts in a way neither could explain. From the moment they met beside the old oak tree where wildflowers bloomed every spring, an unspoken bond grew between them, strong yet delicate, like a silver thread woven silently through the fabric of their days, connecting their laughter, their hopes, and even their silent fears. Every morning, Amina would step out of her little cottage by the stream and walk barefoot through the dew-kissed grass, feeling the cool earth beneath her feet and the gentle breeze that seemed to carry whispers meant only for her, as if nature itself acknowledged the invisible thread that linked her to Sammy, who lived across the hill in a house filled with the warm scent of spices and stories told by his grandmother. Sammy, too, felt this quiet connection as he wandered through the fields, chasing butterflies or watching the clouds drift lazily across the sky, often pausing to think of Amina, imagining her smiles and the sparkle in her eyes when she found a rare feather or a curious stone along their shared paths. Though days passed and seasons changed, their bond remained constant, weaving through the rhythms of their lives like a gentle melody that only their hearts could hear, even when they were apart. One day, as autumn painted the forest in shades of gold and crimson, Amina found herself wandering deeper into the woods than ever before, drawn by an inexplicable pull that seemed to tug at her very soul. And there, amidst the rustling leaves and the soft chatter of woodland creatures, she stumbled upon a small clearing where the sunlight filtered through the canopy in warm, dappled patches. In the center stood a simple wooden bench, worn and weathered, as if waiting for her to arrive. And as she sat down, a calmness washed over her, a feeling of belonging that filled her heart and eased the loneliness she sometimes felt when Sammy was far away. At the same moment, miles away, Sammy found himself in a similar clearing, a place he had never seen before, where an old stone fountain trickled quietly beneath a veil of ivy. And as he leaned closer to listen to the gentle music of the water, he felt a warmth spreading through him, a silent message that he was not alone, that an unseen force linked him to someone he cared for deeply. The invisible thread stretched and shimmered between the two places, bridging the distance with an energy that neither fully understood, but both trusted implicitly. As days grew shorter and the chill of early winter settled in, Amina and Sammy began to notice signs of their connection in the smallest moments. A shared dream of soaring through the clouds, a sudden urge to write a letter that was never sent, or the way their favorite songs seemed to echo softly in the breeze when they thought of one another. One evening, under a sky painted with stars unseen by most because of the village's soft glow, they both sat by their windows, feeling a longing that words could not capture, their hearts beating with the rhythm of the invisible thread that held them close despite the miles. They didn't need to speak to understand that their souls were entwined, their hopes intertwined in a delicate dance that transcended time and space. This invisible thread was not bound by the rules of the world, but by something far deeper: trust, kindness, and the quiet understanding that no matter where life's paths might lead, they would always find their way back to each other. Winter turned into spring, and with the blooming of the first wildflowers, Amina and Sammy finally met again beneath the old oak tree, the place where their friendship had first blossomed, their eyes meeting with a joy that spoke volumes and a warmth that filled the air around them. They sat side by side, sharing stories and dreams, their hands almost touching, connected by the invisible thread that shimmered softly between them, a promise of a bond that could never be broken. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the fields and forests, they knew that this thread was a gift, a reminder that sometimes the strongest connections are those unseen, felt only by the heart, and that love and friendship could weave invisible paths between two souls, guiding them home no matter where their journeys took them. And as night wrapped the world in a gentle embrace, Amina and Sammy drifted into peaceful sleep, carried on the wings of dreams woven by the invisible thread, safe in the knowledge that they were forever connected, no matter how far apart they might be. In a small, quiet village where the streets were lined with cobblestones and the air smelled faintly of blooming jasmine and fresh rain, there was an old, forgotten house at the edge of the forest, known only to a few as the place that held the magic window, a mysterious window said to reveal what tomorrow would bring to those who dared to look through it. But no one truly knew if it was real or just a story passed down through generations. The house, with its peeling paint and creaky wooden floorboards, stood silently beneath towering oak trees that whispered ancient secrets when the wind blew gently, and inside, dust particles danced lazily in shafts of golden sunlight that slipped through cracks in the walls, creating a magical atmosphere that both fascinated and intimidated the villagers. Young Ilara, a curious and brave girl of 10, had always been drawn to the tales about the magic window ever since her grandmother first told her the legend on a chilly autumn evening by the fireplace, describing how the window didn't show a fixed future, but rather offered a glimpse of possibilities shaped by hope, choices, and dreams. A window that asked not just to be looked at, but to be understood. One rainy afternoon, driven by a mixture of excitement and the need to find answers to questions swirling in her heart about the future and what it might hold, Alara decided to visit the old house alone, her small feet splashing through puddles. As she crossed the village square, her mind filled with wonder and a hint of nervousness, unsure if the stories were true but eager to see for herself. Pushing open the heavy wooden door with a soft creak that echoed through the empty rooms, she stepped inside, greeted by the scent of old wood and forgotten memories, and soon found herself standing before the magic window, a large, ancient pane. Framed in intricate carvings of stars, leaves, and swirling patterns, its glass unusually clear despite the years of neglect. As Alara wiped away a thin layer of dust with her sleeve and looked through the window, the world beyond began to shimmer and change, revealing scenes not yet lived, moments of joy, challenges, laughter, and tears, like a storybook unfolding, with pages turned by an invisible hand, and though the images shifted and changed, they never felt cold or frightening, but instead held a quiet warmth that spoke of hope and endless possibilities. The magic window showed her a glimpse of herself walking along new paths, meeting new friends, overcoming fears she hadn't yet faced, and finding kindness in unexpected places, reminding her that tomorrow was not a fixed destination, but a journey, shaped by the choices she made and the courage she carried in her heart. Yet the window also revealed moments when she stumbled, felt lost, or doubted her way. But even in those scenes, there was a gentle light guiding her, a reminder that mistakes were part of growing, and that every fall was followed by a rise, a lesson that would make her stronger and wiser. Alara stayed by the window for what felt like hours, her eyes wide and her spirit lifted by the visions, realizing that the magic wasn't in knowing the future, but in seeing the endless threads of what could be, and understanding that the power to create a beautiful tomorrow rested in her hands, her kindness, her dreams, and her determination. When she finally stepped away from the window, the fading light outside reminded her that it was time to return home. But inside her, a new light had ignited, a quiet confidence and a promise to herself that she would face whatever tomorrow brought with hope and an open heart. As days passed and seasons changed, Alara often thought about the magic window and the images it showed her, using them as a compass to guide her actions, to help her be brave when she was scared, to be kind when she could, and to dream boldly. When the world seemed uncertain, sharing the lesson she learned with others who needed to hear it, telling them that the future was like a garden waiting to be nurtured by the seeds of love and courage sown today. And though the old house at the edge of the forest remained quiet and still, its secret kept safe, the magic window continued to shine in the hearts of those who believed in the beauty of possibility, reminding everyone that while the future may be unseen, it is always waiting patiently for us to step forward, to dream, and to create a story worth living. And as Alara lay down each night, her thoughts filled with the magic of what could be, she felt the gentle embrace of peace, knowing that every tomorrow was a new chance, a blank page where her heart could write the most beautiful story, one filled with hope, love, and endless light. In a quiet little village nestled between rolling hills and ancient forests, the arrival of autumn was always a time of gentle transformation, when the trees would dress themselves in fiery shades of orange, red, and gold, and the cool breeze whispered through the branches like a soft, silent song only the leaves could sing. Among those trees stood an old maple, its branches sprawling wide and its trunk thick and strong from years of standing proudly through countless seasons. A tree that many in the village saw as a guardian watching over their homes and fields. And to a young girl named Amara, that maple was a secret friend who taught her the beauty of change and the quiet strength found in letting go. Each day after school, Amara would hurry to the maple tree, her footsteps crunching softly on the carpet of fallen leaves beneath her, and she would sit by its roots, tracing the patterns on the bark with her fingers and listening to the gentle rustle of leaves stirred by the cool autumn air, as if the tree itself was humming a melody meant only for her. It was during these moments that Amara found a peacefulness unlike any other, a stillness in the world that invited her to dream and wonder, where the worries of tomorrow seemed to fade like the last rays of a fading sun, and all that mattered was the silent song the autumn leaves sang together, a song of endings that carried within it the promise of new beginnings. One particular afternoon, as golden light spilled over the village and the wind carried the crisp scent of pine and earth, Amara noticed something unusual about the leaves fluttering around her. They seemed to glow softly, their colors richer and more vibrant than she had ever seen before, and as she closed her eyes to better hear the silent song, she felt a strange warmth spread through her chest, a feeling as if the tree was sharing its own stories of courage, patience, and hope across the ages. Captivated by this newfound connection, Amara began to imagine the lives of those leaves before they gently floated down from the branches, how each leaf had witnessed countless sunrises and rainy days, how they had danced joyfully in summer storms and basked peacefully in the gentle heat of the afternoon sun, and how now, as autumn arrived, they willingly let go, trusting that their fall was part of a larger cycle that gave life back to the earth and prepared the forest for the quiet rest of winter. As she sat there, she realized that the silent song of the autumn leaves was much like life itself, full of moments when holding on was important, but even more so, times when letting go with grace and trust was the greatest act of strength. A lesson she knew she needed to carry in her heart as she faced her own changes and challenges. The days grew shorter and the leaves continued to fall in gentle waves, each one a tiny note in the melody that filled the air with a softness that calmed even the busiest minds. And Amara found herself sharing the story of the maple tree and its silent song with her family and friends, encouraging them to listen more closely to the quiet moments and to find comfort in the gentle rhythms of nature's changing seasons. She learned that even in silence there was a song to be heard, a story to be told, and a message of hope waiting to be discovered if one only paused long enough to listen. And this realization helped her to see the world with new eyes that noticed the small wonders in everyday moments and understood that beauty often came wrapped in stillness and calm. As autumn deepened and the last leaves finally settled on the ground, the maple tree stood bare but proud, its branches reaching toward the sky like arms ready to embrace the future, and Amara felt a quiet joy knowing that though the leaves were gone for now, the song they sang would return again in the next season. A reminder that life was a continuous dance of change, growth, and renewal. And so, every night before she drifted to sleep, Amara would close her eyes and imagine the silent song of the autumn leaves carrying her dreams gently into the night, wrapping her in a blanket of peace and hope, and reminding her that, just like those leaves, she too could let go of fear, embrace change, and find strength in the quiet moments that whispered softly to her heart, guiding her toward a tomorrow filled with light and endless possibilities. In a small village nestled between lush green hills and sparkling streams, there lived a young boy named Leo, who was unlike any other child. For Leo had a special gift that made the ordinary world around him burst into colors no one else could see or paint. While other children played with toys or ran through fields chasing butterflies, Leo carried with him a small wooden palette and brushes made from the softest twigs, and wherever he went, he would dip his brush not in paint, but in the invisible light of rainbows, those fleeting bands of color that appeared only after a gentle rain when the sun peeked through the clouds, and with these magical colors, he painted scenes of joy, hope, and dreams that danced on the walls of his little home and the pages of his worn-out sketchbooks. The villagers often wondered how such vibrant and lively pictures could come from a boy who seemed so quiet and shy. But those who truly knew Leo understood that he was a dreamer, a believer in the unseen beauty of the world, and through his rainbow brush, he shared the colors of his heart with everyone around him, turning dull days into celebrations of light and happiness. One morning, after a night of gentle rain that left the air fresh and sparkling, Leo woke early, feeling a surge of excitement as he stepped outside, the ground still wet and glistening, the sky a canvas of soft grays and blues, and he knew this was the perfect day to capture a new masterpiece, a painting that would bring hope to the whole village. With his brush in hand, Leo wandered through the fields where wildflowers nodded in the breeze, through the woods where birds sang their morning songs, and along the riverbanks where the water rippled softly over smooth stones, and everywhere he touched with his rainbow colors, life seemed to brighten, the leaves shimmered, the flowers glowed, and the laughter of children echoed like a sweet melody carried by the wind. As he painted, Leo imagined his colors blending together to form a bridge between the earth and the sky, a path made of light and dreams that would invite everyone to believe in magic and kindness. And the villagers, watching from afar, began to feel a warmth in their hearts as if the boy's paintings were whispering stories of courage and love that they had forgotten to hear in their busy lives. One day, a little girl named Maya, who had recently moved to the village and felt lonely and shy, stumbled upon Leo painting beneath the old oak tree, her eyes wide with wonder as she saw the shimmering colors swirling and dancing around him. And without a word, Leo smiled and handed her a brush dipped in a glowing band of violet and gold, inviting her to join his magical art. From that moment on, Maya and Leo became inseparable friends, their brushes painting not only rainbows but dreams of friendship, laughter, and hope that filled every corner of the village, inspiring everyone to look beyond what the eye could see and believe in the beauty that lived in their hearts. Seasons passed, and the village blossomed into a place where colors and joy filled the streets, where children played under skies painted with light, and where even the oldest villagers found themselves humming the silent songs of rainbows in their dreams, all because of a boy who dared to paint with colors no one else could hold, reminding them that sometimes the most powerful magic is not what we see, but what we feel, and that hope and kindness can brighten even the darkest days. And so, every night, as Leo lay down to sleep, he dreamed of new rainbows waiting to be painted, of endless skies full of possibilities, and of a world where everyone could find their own colors to share, knowing deep in his heart that through his quiet art, he was weaving a tapestry of light that would guide the village, and perhaps even the whole world, toward brighter, happier tomorrows filled with wonder and love. In the heart of a quiet little town stood an ancient library, a place filled with towering shelves of dusty books and forgotten stories, where every corner seemed to whisper secrets from the past, and among the many mysteries it held, there was one that no one had ever noticed. A hidden door, concealed behind a row of weathered books about faraway lands and magic spells, a door that could only be found by those with a curious heart and a brave spirit. Young Emma, a girl with sparkling eyes and an endless love for adventure, often spent her afternoons exploring the library's maze of shelves, running her fingers over the spines of books, imagining worlds beyond the pages. And one rainy day, As the soft patter of raindrops filled the air, she stumbled upon a peculiar gap in the books that revealed a faint outline of a door, worn with time but still standing strong, inviting her to uncover its secret. Heart pounding with excitement, Emma gently pushed aside the books and felt the smooth wooden surface beneath her palms. Then, after a small effort, the door creaked open to reveal a narrow staircase spiraling downward into darkness. Yet, instead of fear, she felt a strange pull of wonder and courage, knowing that this was the beginning of a magical journey unlike any she had ever dreamed of. Clutching a small lantern she always carried for moments like this, Emma stepped inside. The air cool and filled with the scent of old paper and mystery, and as she descended, she noticed faint glowing runes etched into the stone walls, illuminating her path with a soft golden light that seemed to dance like fireflies around her. At the bottom of the stairs, she entered a vast underground chamber lined with shelves that held books not just old, but alive, their pages fluttering gently as if breathing, and in the center stood a large wooden table covered with maps, ancient, scrolls, and curious objects from forgotten times, all waiting for Emma to explore their secrets. As she began to leaf through one of the glowing books, she found stories of heroes and magical creatures, tales of lost cities and enchanted forests, and realized that this hidden library was a treasure trove of knowledge meant only for those who dared to seek it. And as the hours passed unnoticed, Emma felt herself becoming part of these stories, her imagination painting vibrant pictures of courage, friendship, and endless discovery. Among the treasures, she found a delicate key, with intricate carvings and a note that read, "This key unlocks the door to your own story." And with a hopeful heart, Emma understood that the hidden door was not just a gateway to ancient knowledge, but an invitation to create her own adventures, to write her own magic in the world outside the library walls. As the rain slowed and the first light of dawn crept through the cracks above, Emma climbed back up the staircase, the key warm in her hand and her spirit alight with dreams, knowing that she carried a secret that would forever change the way she saw the world, a secret that whispered of endless possibilities and the power of believing in the magic within herself. That night, as she lay in bed, the images of glowing books, mysterious runes, and the hidden door filled her dreams, weaving a silent story that promised new beginnings and endless journeys. And in the quiet stillness, Emma felt the gentle pulse of adventure waiting patiently for her to return. For the hidden door in the old library was not just a place, but a promise. A promise that stories are alive, that magic is real when you dare to believe, and that every heart holds a door, waiting to be opened. In a small, quiet village nestled between rolling hills and thick forests lived a young boy named Liam, who often felt lonely despite being surrounded by people who cared for him. Every day after school, he would wander through the villages, narrow streets, and the nearby woods, searching for something he could not quite name. A friend who understood him beyond words and laughter. And one late afternoon, as the sun dipped low and long shadows stretched across the ground, Liam noticed a peculiar shadow that seemed different from the others. It moved independently, sometimes playfully dancing beside him, other times patiently, waiting as if it had a story to tell. Intrigued and a little hesitant, Liam reached out his hand toward the shadow, and to his amazement, it gently mimicked his movements and even seemed to curl around him protectively, as if it had chosen him to share a secret friendship. Days turned into weeks, and the shadow became Liam's constant companion, following him silently through the meadows, hiding behind trees, and even joining him during quiet moments when he read books or watched the stars from his window. And though others could not see this mysterious friend, Liam felt a warmth and comfort he had never known before. The shadow was unlike any friend he had ever had. It didn't speak in words, but its presence was louder than any voice, teaching Liam about courage, kindness, and the beauty of silent understanding. Together, they explored the forests, hidden paths, where birds sang melodies that only Liam and his shadow seemed to hear, and they discovered secret clearings where wildflowers bloomed under the soft glow of twilight, painting the world in colors that felt like dreams. One day, when a fierce storm threatened the village, Liam found himself caught in the pouring rain, scared and alone, but his shadow stayed close, shielding him from the harsh wind and guiding him safely back home through the darkened woods, proving that friendship could be a light even in the darkest times. As seasons passed, Liam grew stronger and braver, no longer afraid of the unknown, because he knew his shadow would always be by his side, a loyal friend who needed no words, only trust and a shared heart. And on quiet nights when the village lay asleep beneath a blanket of stars, Liam would talk softly to his shadow, sharing dreams and fears, and in return, the shadow would stretch gently across the walls like a warm embrace, reminding him that friendship can be found in the most unexpected places, even in the silence between light and dark. Years later, when Liam was no longer a boy but a young man, he realized that the shadow had taught him more than friendship. It had shown him how to see with his heart, how to listen to the quiet whispers of the world, and how to be brave even when no one else was watching. And though the shadow eventually faded as Liam stepped into a new chapter of his life filled with new friends and adventures, its silent song remained in his soul, a reminder that sometimes the truest friends are those who stand beside us without a sound, who catch us when we fall, and who light our way through every shadowed path, turning loneliness into the warmest kind of belonging.